seen it when you remember all the danger we came from. Burning like embers falling.
Сите ние сакаме да бидеме во чекор со времето, да негуваме светски и европски вредности, да се држиме кон тие трендови. Човекот кој што ги негува тие европски вредности кај нас во Македонија е човекот кој што ќе биде мој денешен соговорник. Да видиме за кого станува збор.
Great. Should we grab a coffee before we start?
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right. So let's go in here. Go ahead, you go.
Thank you.
Hello. So, what would you like?
Hi.
Bravo. Good morning.
I would like one short espresso.
One espresso and one takeaway. And cappuccino for me.
Cappuccino.
Great. This is essential for me every day. Coffee.
For me also.
Great. Thank you so much. Hvala mnogo.
Благодарим име тука ден. Се среќаваме.
Pozdrav.
Темелен и фокусиран. Работи на тоа што го најави уште од првиот ден. Човек кој што е посветен на својата работа, но каков е приватно евроамбасадорот Дејвид Гир. Навистина ми е мило што имаме прилика да поразговараме и честа е моја во секој случај. Како сте?
I'm great, thank you. It's nice to meet you, and we had more than a chit chat. We even bought some coffee.
Да. Како за старт би сакал малку да се навратиме на вашите почетоци. Како Дејвид влезе во дипломатијата и што е она што ве натера да го одберете токму тој правец?
So it's quite an indirect route. I started out in law. Actually, I started out studying English literature. And then I moved into, I wanted to do something a bit more practical, so I became a lawyer. And then lawyer, I started to get involved on human rights and rights issues. I was always interested in doing international work. And then from rights, moving into the international sphere, I moved to Brussels and then became involved in the European Union, many of its policies, and then through diplomacy. I've always enjoyed international work. I enjoy the interaction with people from different backgrounds. So in a way, it became a natural fit, but it took quite a circuitous route.
На вистински џентлменски професии сите овие кои што сте ги одбрале, значи сте го трасирале патот како што треба. Човек кој што ете секогаш сака да им помогне на другите, се става себе си пред другите и затоа ми е навистина мило. Ме интересира дали во дипломатијата и во политичкиот свет постојат одредени кодекси на облекување.
That's a good question. I think it's a bit different between diplomacy and the political world. I think because you're dealing in diplomatic world with people from different cultures, it's a tendency to be a bit conservative in dress, for the men in particular. So in general, we tend to wear, in the formal context, tend to wear suits, tend to be rather conservative. And if you want to play a little bit, then you might do with your tie or socks. I haven't got any exciting socks on, but you might with your socks, or do exactly what you've done where you've got braces on. So in general, it's a bit conservative. I think it's a bit more difficult for women because, as always, people sort of tend to focus on that more than with men, and they tend to be a bit more critical and make more comments. So it's a bit of an unfair situation. But in general, I think we're quite conservative. Politicians are different. I think sometimes politicians can make, as part of their personality, they want to draw attention to themselves as individuals.
Какво е вашето мислење дали во политичкиот свет во Македонија постои џентлменство? Баш ме интересира вашето мислење за тоа.
Well, I guess it all depends on what you mean by gentlemanness or gentleman. What is that? Because traditionally, gentleman is, first of all, it's a gender, it's male. And secondly, it was originally, the idea was gentleman was an elite with certain values. So I think we can do a bit better than that nowadays. We have to upgrade it, we have to update it a bit. So for me, a gentleman, and it can be a gentlewoman if the gender is not relevant, for me, a gentleman is somebody who is, first of all, respectful of others, able to listen, able to engage, has a certain level of decency and basic moral compass, can be open to other arguments, other discussions, is interested in policies rather than, people, in the sense of personalities, policies versus personalities. So do you see that in political life, not just in this country, but everywhere? I think everywhere there is a problem that you do have a lot of, personality attacks, a lot of very negative stuff out there, which is bad because people become quite cynical, people become skeptical, they're disappointed. But I do think it's important to remember that at heart, politics actually has a noble aim. It's about bringing about change, better change for the future. And there are many situations in the past where politicians have done certain things which have made things much better, prevented war, created a peaceful environment, or brought about positive changes. But we all suffer from this personality-driven discussion rather than policy-driven discussion.
Освен во Македонија, како дел од вашето работење сте биле и во Грузија, Арменија и Украина. Како е да се гради кариера надвор од родното место и дали е тешко, дали бара голема жртва?
But if you're in the diplomatic service, it's not difficult to build a career because you have to get different experiences. So it was great to have been in Georgia and Armenia in the 1990s or in Jerusalem much more recently. So you have to get quite a wide range of experience, both in the capital and in the country concerned. On a personal level, that's something different. There are real advantages because you're not just, it's not tourism. You're out there, you're meeting people, you're doing what we're doing now, talking. You're learning about a country, you're learning about different environments. And that's a great way of building your understanding professionally, but also personally of the world and of people. The negative is that you're not in your home country, and it usually means you're away from many of the friends that you had when you were in university or from childhood or your family, and inevitably that means there is a distance. It makes a difference if friends and family come and visit, because when you talk about the country, at least, if I'm talking about North Macedonia, at least if they've been here, they know what it is to go up to Vodno, or they know what it is to go to Ohrid, or it's meaningful. If they don't come, then it's always much more difficult and you have a bit of a gap. Now I've been on and off out of the UK since 1992, so that's a very long period of time, and naturally I've become a different person. It's great when I go back, it's great when I go back to my home in Belgium too, but I am a different person, changed by all the things that I've seen and done and people I've met.
Тоа е предноста во животот. Сретнуваме нови луѓе и растеме понатаму. Вие како вистински џентлмен зборувате 4 јазици: англиски, француски, шпански и руски. Како успеавте да ги научите сите тие јазици?
One of the great advantages about working in the international sphere is that you hear languages all the time. I'm hearing Macedonian, Albanian, other languages as well. In the European Union, there are 24 official languages. So when you're working in Brussels, in your office, you just will hear a lot of languages. So you live in that environment of languages. And so there are much, much better linguists than me out there. So you get used to using other languages. And also professionally, in order to advance in the EU system, you need to have a certain number of languages and you use them regularly. If you don't use languages, then you forget them, and that's the problem. So no, it's one of the great advantages of the international environment.
Се слушувам. А со македонскиот како стоите?
Не много. I am studying and I'm followed quite well, but I need more time and need to be a better, more disciplined student. I'm sure my teacher would say that.
Ви посакувам успех за тоа. Вашата работа постојано ве принудува да носите костуми и деловна облека. Кој е вашиот омилен аутфит во приватниот живот? Дали знаете да облечете тренерка или друга спортска гардероба?
I think it depends on the season, but let's say now, I think I have a pair of baggy Edwin trousers, which I love, sneakers, and a nice warm jumper. But actually in the winter months, the piece of clothing that I wear most of all, I almost live in, is a second-hand old sheepskin coat. And it is so warm that basically throughout the winter months I tend to stay inside that.
Дали во Македонија, не во политиката, него дали во Македонија воопшто постојат џентлмени?
Well, according to the definition I've just given, of course, there are many. Last week I was at an event with the Red Cross in Ohrid. And there you had 16 volunteers working on mountain rescue. They were gentlemen, and there was a woman there too. She was also a gentleman. These were people who are dedicated, who are decent, doing a good job, committed to the interests of everybody. That's I call gentlemen. And I see many people across the country doing that. Of course, like every country, you see people who behave in a different way, which is, negative and the opposite of that. But I think you can find people who have values and people who behave well anywhere in the country.
Веќе неколку години живеете во Македонија. Што најмногу ви се допаѓа тука кај нас и која карактеристика на македонците најмногу ви се допаѓа?
It's not many years, it's been I think about 17 months now, but it's long enough to get a feel for the place. So, and by the way, I really like it here. I really feel in my element. Well, I enjoy the diversity of people. That's something great here. You have a real wealth of different types of people, not ethnicity, but not just, from all sorts of backgrounds. That's something. Then there's the countryside, which is magnificent. Put aside the rubbish that you see sometimes, which is very upsetting, but the countryside is magnificent. The diversity of things that you can do in the country is great. You have fantastic cuisine, especially with really good basic ingredients. So all of those are winners, I think. What's the characteristic I most like? Generally people are very welcoming, which is very nice. But the thing I like most of all is people normally are not frightened to tell me what they think. And as the EU ambassador, you can imagine everybody has an opinion, whether it's a taxi driver, somebody in the local market, or somebody you're meeting in an official. That's a great sign. That's a sign of a society which is going in the right direction, that people can say what they think. I may not agree with lots of it. I may agree with lots of it too, but it's people speaking and saying what they think. That's a really good quality.
Дали се навикнавте на балканското или попрецизно на македонскиот животен стил?
I mean, a way of being here in many ways suits me. I like the fact that people have time. They give time to personal relationships. They give time to the family. I think that's important. I like the fact that they are engaged, and as I've said, that they like to talk, they're welcoming. All of those are positive elements. Yeah, there are difficult elements as well, which are not really Balkan, but they're difficult elements. Pollution, I mentioned rubbish, but also the air pollution. There are difficulties that the country has in developing, which you see in many others as well. But those make it more tough. But for me, I have to say that it's been a very positive experience.
Дали имате некаков мотив што ве води во животот, некоја мисла, можеби, некое разбирање?
That's a tough one. I don't have a great sort of phrase I can give you which summarizes everything. I think that for myself, my aspiration is try to be the best that I can, but have certain red lines. Being the best that you can. In other words, using your talents as much as you can, trying to. But in doing so, you don't trample over other people on the way. That you have, if you can, a kind of sort of baseline, a moral compass which says that I will not cross certain things, I will not do certain things. And I think all of those are important. And then just remember that other people, you are, as I've said many times, you are as 100% human as I am. So just to avoid getting into that sort of dynamic where you start to demonize the other person, or don't want to know them, or don't want to reach out to them. So all of those are aspirational things that I try to do. Sometimes I succeed, very often no, especially when I haven't had coffee in the morning.
Како изгледа вашето слободно време тука кај нас? Како го поминувате и како се релаксирате во еден така порелаксирачки ден за вас, послободен?
Well, apart from the dinners, which don't happen very often because of COVID, but hiking. My partner and I, we like hiking a lot. We go out, visit. It's a great way to get to know the country physically. So when you talk about a place or a town or a village, actually we know it because we've walked through it. That's great. I like doing sport. I swim here at Boris Tchaikovsky. good to swim there. Skiing, last weekend we went skiing up at Mavrovor with friends. That was terrific. So all of those things are great. We like going out as well. So we go to the opera ballet when we can. I think I've now learned from you that I need to go to the theatre too, something I used to do a lot in Brussels and in London and other places. So those are the kind of things that I like doing. That's what makes me relaxed. And above all, I'm a great fan of music. So any concerts, it's always enjoyable to go to. Or if not, just being quiet at home with music is a great way of chilling out.
Секој джентлмен би требало да знае да готви. Јас тоа така го кажувам. Дали Дејвид ужива да готви, сака ли да готви?
So you're absolutely right. Every person, man or woman, should know how to cook. I love cooking. I'm okay. I'm not great. I'm not a great cook, but I love doing it. It's a great way of relaxing, and it's also a great way of being generous with your friends. That you invest in putting something together and you share it with your friends, and it's a common experience, very human experience. Food is a fantastic way to get to know people. So I like cooking. I do a good risotto. I do good soups, but I'm not a fine cook. I haven't trained or anything, but I like cooking. It's a relaxing way of being.
Кога сме веќе кај јадењето и кај кујната, кај омилените јадења, би сакал да ве прашам што најчесто сакате да јадете кога ги правите паузите овде да се одморите од работниот ден?
Well, we're lucky here. We're in the centre, so we've got plenty of places to go to. If I'm in a rush, probably my favourite place is literally just a few metres away. It's a hut run by Goran and Alexander, and they cook great food, sort of buffet, Macedonian food. So wonderful soups there in particular, and that's a really staple of mine. So if you're free, maybe we should just go and have some soup. You see, here we go.
Yeah.
Bon appetit.
Fala,
Thank you,
Alexander.
You're welcome.
It's served.
This is great soup,
Yeah.
pumpkin soup with bread.
It's served really traditionally. Yeah, and I like it.
My staple.
Yeah, we're gonna try it in 3 or 4 minutes to
Let it cool a bit, yeah, exactly.
Cool a bit, yeah. So recently you received a prize for foreign manager in Macedonia, like in the Man of the Year. What's the meaning of that prize for you?
You know, it was a bit mixed at first because my first reaction was, look, you know, men are quite good at promoting themselves, so do we really need to promote ourselves as much as that? I mean, is there a Woman of the Year? But then I went along to the ceremony in which you were at, and I mean, there was Sashko there was Borche Stamenov, there was Simeon, Dian, the athlete. These guys have done great things, and you really realize that it's really nice that it can celebrate what they've done, what their achievements are. So yeah, it's a great honor. I was very happy to receive it, and it was also really great to meet these other people who have really contributed to this country and are doing great things.
For you, what are the real values in life?
I think I've said this a few times recently. Number one is the quality of curiosity. In other words, the ability of us as human beings to be curious about the world, to want to learn, to want to see other people, want to get to know you, want to get to know other people, to be curious. And I always think that curiosity is the difference between being young and old. I have a 94-year-old friend, and I call her every Sunday. I've been doing it for years, and she is curious. She will talk about books, she'll talk about poetry, things that matter to her at 94. She's not old, she's young. So curiosity is really important. I think two other qualities which are really important to me, and I mention them because they're less often mentioned. One is kindness. This sounds a bit soft and soppy, but kindness is about recognizing what I've said before, that we are of a kind. We are connected. We are humans together. You're as much a human as I am, and therefore that requires a respect for each other and to operate on a basis of equality. And the third is generosity, which I think is a value which is much underrated. It doesn't mean about throwing money. Maybe it can help. It's about time. It's also about being generous in the way we talk to each other, about appreciating the other person, not immediately rushing to contradict or crush the other person. So those are three quiet values: curiosity, kindness, and generosity, which I think you don't hear so much about. Of course, honesty and courage and all of these other things are great too, but those ones I think are undersold.
Do you enjoy reading books? You mentioned books. Do you have a favorite book maybe?
I love reading books. Don't have that much time for it, and I don't have favorites, because the problem is, if you ask me today what my favorite book is, it will probably be the last one I read. But you know, there's one book I have read now 4 times, and I finished it recently again, which is War and Peace, Tolstoy. And I've read it every sort of 10 years or so. And the great thing about it, reading it again after 10 years, and again, you always have a completely different angle on it. Why? Not because the book has changed, it's because I've changed and my experience has changed. And this time it was completely different to me.
Do you like to watch movies maybe?
I love movies, great movies. I like to go to the cinema, actually. I mean, I do the Netflix and watch things, because that's where we are now. But I like the experience of being in the cinema. First of all, it's much more real. The screen is bigger, the sound is bigger, and you're with people around you. It's like as an audience, and you know about
you're
audiences.
Sharing energy.
Exactly, you're sharing energy, and films that make you jump out of your seat, not because you're frightened, because they just challenge you, make you think, make you experience another world which you wouldn't be able to experience otherwise. So films are great.
You mentioned about the dinners that you're doing at the end of the day. What do you prefer to drink with that dinner? Maybe some whiskey, maybe some wine. What do you prefer at most?
I don't do it every day. I can't drink wine every day. But I really love to have a good bottle of red wine with a meal, or in the summer, white wine. And the good thing about this country is you have great wines. You have some great wineries, big variety. So I'm completely at home with the wine that you have. But that's just a great way of sharing, again, a common experience with people.
You travel a lot.
Yeah.
What's the best location that you ever visited?
There are many fantastic places I've been to. I've been really lucky to travel a lot, whether it was Colombia or parts of Central Asia, Georgia. But we are very lucky because a few years ago, my partner and I, we bought a house, an old ruined farm in Italy, very green, a bit like here actually. It's quite mountainous, it's green, and for me that is heaven. It's just a remote farmhouse, beautiful hills all around, and that's where we can really relax. So it's a beautiful place.
Thank you very much. It was really nice speaking with you. So now we can try the soup, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks very much. It was a pleasure. Now enjoy the soup.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks. It's going to be tricky. And I think there's some sauce here as well.
Yeah, some wine maybe.
Бричењето со брич е дел од секојдневната нега, хигиена и е својствено за мажите кои држат до себе, внимаваат на својот изглед, а така и на достоинството. Самопочита е висока морална вредност, исто како и односот кон другите. Денеска ќе се осврнеме на традиционалното бричење, кое за среќа и натаму се применува во берберниците, а мнозина или веќе се бричат и сами, дома, или сакаат да почнат да го практикуваат. На запад, особено во Британија, Италија, Франција, но и во други земји, џентлмените го ритуализираат бричењето така што барем еднаш па и 2 пати во неделата одат на бербер за да се избричат, да се средат, да се подстрижат. Тамошните локални берберници се и места во кои се разменуваат мислења, погледи, современи или конзервативни, додека муштериите читаат весници, чекајќи да им дојде редот, а берберите си ја вршат работата, ги бричат исклучиво на традиционален начин. Берберскиот занает обично се предава од поколение на поколение, вклучително и дуќаните, за разлика од фризерите, на пример. Затоа берберите го применуваат старинското или како што се нарекува традиционално бричење, кое за среќа е присутно и тука. Последните неколку години се отворија многу берберници чиј интериер изгледа преубаво, а и нивната услуга е брза, добра и голема, што подразбира нега, одржување на брадата и мустаките со квалитетни препарати, козметички средства, подстрижување, бричење кој исто така е традиционално, како што се бричало во дамнешно време. Македонските џентлмени се нивни редовни посетители, а освен стари, се повеќе има и нови муштерии, па така одењето на бербер и тука се ритуализира и минува во навика. Занимлив е фактот што старите, повозрастните скопјани, секако и жителите на градовите од натрешноста, па и еснафите, одамна ги посетуваат берберниците исклучиво за бричење, како никогаш во минатото. Некои пак цел живот ги отстрануваат влакната од лицето или со машинка за бричење или со жилети. Претходно го мачкаат со гел или готова купечка пена, која обично ја сушат кожата, особено пената. Маркетингот си го прави своето. Не се сомневаме воопшто во нивниот квалитет, сега ќе се осврнеме и на нив, ама во некоја друга прилика, но бричевите што ги користат берберите се класика, ненадминливи без оглед на нивната модернизација. Што ви е потребно за традиционалното бричење? Вода, крем или сапун, четка и ноже или брич. Водата ги омекнува брадата и мустаките, се впива во порите, ги отвара и лицето е подготвено за отстранување на влакната. Се препорачува или топол туш или топла крпа со која се покрива лицето, или топол воден спреј, распрскуваш, со цел да се загреат и брадата и мустаките. Водата е потребна и да се направи пена од крем или сапун. Најубаво е четката да постои во неа, за да ја впие, а потоа да се измеша кремот во мал сад или да се потрие по сапунот, додека не залепени убаво. Берберите советуваат да се почне со крем, бидејќи е поедноставен, полесен за користење кога се прави пена, за разлика од сапунот кој треба да се трие подолго за да се направи доволно сапуница, а за тоа е неопходна и рутина. Незината густина треба да биде како на шлагот, но внимавајте на количеството вода во садот. И четката нека биде квалитетна, тоа е многу битно. Влакната обично се јазовечки, конски, свински, па и од вештачка синтетична кожа. Ножето, незаштитено, делува застрашувачки, но не ја иритира кожата на лицето. Ако се плашите да почнете, консултирајте се со берберот. Може да ви помогне да не учите. Потоа станува рутина. Вообичаено се остри на кожа пред употреба. Тоа е прва опција, додека втората е сигурносниот заштитен брич со 2, 3 па и повеќе острици, сечила кои се менуваат.
Фала ти многу. За мојот изглед нема потреба да говорам затоа што нели се гледа, а за тоа се погрижија рацете на врвниот мајстор. Ова треба да го практикува секој џентлмен барем еднаш во неделата, затоа што навистина е фантастично. Бидете џентлмени, негувајте добри навики и грижете се за својот изглед, затоа што сепак тоа значи. Ти благодарам. Уште еднаш. Браво.
Пет работи без кои што не можам се ладно нес или две во текот на денот, без млеко обавезно, мојот мобилен телефон, саат, вежбање од сабајле, тоа е фиксно, и веројатно чудно ќе звучи со оглед на мојата фризура, гел на коса. Без него не искачаме долу.
Негувајте добри навики. Гледате Џентлмен Магазин и бидете со нас на македонската телевизија.
I started a joke.